I think we're going to go ahead and start. We'll try and look at some of the things on the agenda. Maybe we can rearrange some things and we're trying to work this out. I invited Adam to come here. He's responsible for the building and the maintenance. He's going to explain some of the rules as far as housekeeping. We're going to make sure that we honor our facility, make sure that it's clean and well kept. And he's going to explain a little bit more. Hello, everybody. Pamela wants me to dance. I'm not going to dance right now. I don't do the floss either. So, anyway, so in this room, we're not allowed to have any kind of drinks. That includes beer, alcohol, no smoking. Of course, I'm kidding. We're not supposed to have any kind of food or water or food or drinks. If there is an emergency or earthquake or a fire, the exit is right here and right over here. So to your right and to your left. Or you can go out of the room and to the left. And that's one of the ways to exit the building. The bathrooms, if you take a right outside these doors, they're just down the hallway, the men's and women's. Also, there's a drinking fountain that is right near the restrooms. So if you're thirsty, you can use that. Any other questions? If there's anything else, good to go. All right, well, enjoy your time. Okay. Well, again, we're also just again excited that everybody's here. We are going to have a raffle. Anybody want a prize? Does anybody out there want a prize? Yeah. So if you get your little tickets, we're going to have the raffle at the end of the meeting. So there will be an explanation as to what you might win. Pamela's going to come up and explain. Can everybody see me well? Am I okay right here? Yeah. Okay, wait. Oh, maybe not. Oh, you're asking, what are you saying? Getting teased, I believe. Okay, fine, I'll come up here. Oh, for the camera. I didn't want to get up here and fall over, so okay. Anyway, Interwest, we're grateful that they have provided something for the raffle. They are giving gift cards. $10 gift cards. Costa Vida, the restaurant Costa Vida, $10 gift cards for that. So we'll have the raffle for 3 gift cards from Interwest. ASL Communications has donated $25 gift cards, 2 $25 gift cards, and we'll have a raffle for that as well today. And then also, 5-Star Interpreting Services also has donated a gift card of $25. So there will be multiple gift cards, one for restaurant, like there's one for Walmart and then the other restaurants. So we wanted to congratulate, or thank these different entities for donating these gift cards and whatnot. We also have refreshments. We didn't want, or for sponsoring events, so we didn't want people to bring the food in, so we'll have the refreshments outside afterwards. Any other questions about the raffle? If you haven't signed up, go to the back. They can help you with that. So if you didn't get a ticket up there. So sorry you didn't get a ticket. So if she can get some help with that, that'd be great. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Pamela did a lot of work in contacting different entities to receive some sponsorship help, and it's good to have that kind of help in the partnerships that we have throughout the community. I think it's very important for these types of events, and also we're glad that you're here participating as members of the community. Oh, it looks like it's not on the screen. So it does seem that we still have the problem with the text being pretty small. So, but that's better than nothing, right? So we'll go ahead and, okay. Okay, so if I put it in the presentation, does that look okay? Is everybody good now? Okay. Does that look all right? I know we wanted a larger font. I'm sorry. Looks like we're unable to do that. Okay, so Pamela just mentioned that if you have a cell phone, if you're a pro with captioning on the phone, right? Could you explain how to download or stream that onto your phone? If you would mind doing that, Shelley?
We can just go to the website, right? And we can get it on our phone on the website. I don't know how to give out the website right now, but we shall put that to you maybe. Oh, girl. Can you type it up there for us?
Yeah, let me find the fastest, easiest way.
Jennifer is going to write it up on paper up here on the easel. We'll have the website information. Jennifer, we have to change the color. It's not easily read. We don't have black. Is brown going to work? Is that going to be legible? Apologize for not being fully accessible. Please bear with me. This is new, and so we want this community to be more inclusive and make sure that everybody feels welcome. We're going to go ahead and proceed. Thank you, Shelley. Is there anything else you need to add, Shelley?
You can pick that up on your phone, on a tablet, computer. You can just go to the link and then you should be able to see the captions on your phone as well.
So just click live link for Townhall. Click the live link under Townhall.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's a little bit more coming on the link.
he's gonna write the whole link there. No, tell him not to. No. Just leave it like that. They'll open it and see it.
At the top, it'll say live.
Yeah, just this line item down.
There's a box that says live. You'll have to click live, and then it will start streaming, if I understand correctly. We'll give you a minute to try to get that started. already missed about 30 minutes because due to technical problems, maybe we restart again at 3, or, excuse me, postpone the meeting to continue until 3:30. I apologize for starting late. I know some people may have to leave at 3, but we are happy to extend it to go until 3:30. Pete, I really do appreciate your patience, and again, if people are able to stay longer, we will continue as long as needed. And we'll try to, although finish on time, but I appreciate your concerns. First, we'd like to recognize the Townhall Planning Committee. If you wouldn't mind standing up to be recognized. We've got Pamela, Morgan, Mary Beth, Shelley, and Ron. We're all part of the committee. They've worked really hard and have planned, and I've worked with this committee, and they've done a great job to make this town hall's success. So thank you to our committee members to get this set up. We've already taken care of housekeeping, which is an odd word, but Adam came up and explained where restrooms and drinking fountains and emergency exits are. Pamela also talked about the raffle and the sponsors to make the raffle happen. We appreciate them. And here's our agenda for this afternoon. We're going to start off with the Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. A little bit about their mission. We're going to show the mission statement, which is a community for the deaf, hard of hearing, deaf-blind, and their families, promoting connections, awareness, and equity while inspiring greatness. We have an overall community that includes the deaf, hard of hearing individuals, deaf-blind individuals, family members, and all working together. We want to work collaboratively and learn from one another. And promote equality, recognizing various needs and various skills in these populations, and promote equity, at the same time inspiring greatness. We love this mission statement. Don't you agree? We have recognized the Town Hall Committee. Again, thank you for your efforts. Also would like to recognize our management team, and if you wouldn't mind standing up as well. If you wouldn't mind coming to the front. We had somebody say, "Ooh, that wasn't very nice." When I'm finished, we'll turn the time over to each of the management members to explain their role in just a bit. And some member in the audience is asking who are the members of the management team. We've got, again, we will allow each one of them to come up and explain a little bit more about their role, but we've got Mitch Jensen, Annette Stewart, Grant Pemberton, Morgan Smith, and don't forget it's 2 N's for Morgan, and Jennifer Ruder, who is my administrative assistant. She works with facilities, with a front desk, and the entire facility. So again, we'll give them each an opportunity to talk a little bit about what they do. Also want to recognize leadership from USOR and DWS. We have Sarah here, who is my direct supervisor. This is Sarah Brenna. And she's been so wonderful to work with. She's also new, and she came in right before I did, and it's been a great opportunity to work together. Sarah's actually taking some American Sign Language classes here at the center, so kudos to her. Yay, Sarah. And again, thank you to the management team for all you do. Also would like to recognize the interpreter teams we have here. We have Trenton, Clay, Dean, Paul, and Julie. And their participation, we appreciate them interpreting. Is there, did I miss anybody today? And we've got a volunteer interpreter, Steven's working as well. Oh, sorry, that's Dean in the back, also working as an interpreter today. Oh, and he says, oh, I'm sorry, I signed his name wrong. This is how it's signed. And that's Dean Christensen. There's also another important member of our team. We've got Julia. How do you spell your last name, Julia?
Go ahead, I got you. Go ahead. Step. Cookies.
Stepp, S-T-E-P-P. And who does a fantastic job doing the cart, the captions. She's been a part of many of our meetings and works very diligently to make sure that there's access for everyone. Thank you, Julia. The division has an advisory council, and we have any members of the advisory council here. Kelly is here, and she is our council chairperson, so Kelly Beamer. And just spell Kelly. Kelly works for vocational rehabilitation. We also have Stephen Ehrlich is on the advisory council. He brings in the perspective from the deafblind community, things that sometimes we overlook, and so we appreciate him as a deafblind community member to get his insight and perspective. So thank you, Stephen, for being here. We also have other partners, the Utah Association of the Deaf, Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind, Utah Interpreter, RID, Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf. We have many different partnerships. We also work with Relay Utah, and they provide services also for Southern Utah. We have Hearing Loss Association of America, is that correct? HLAA, and who Shelley works very closely with for those who are hard of hearing and have hearing loss. Appreciate you as well. We have DSDHH, and there's another division, DSBVI, which is we refer to as the Blind Center. We have the director from DSBVI, Steve Wynn, is here. If you don't mind standing up, Steve, thank you. He's my counterpart, and he works at the Blind Center, the director there. And he works also with the deaf-blind and provides services to that community. So we have, like you see, we have so many different partnerships that working together to provide services to our community. And my better half is here, Stephanie, my smarter half. This is Stephanie. And she runs a Sago Lily Center for the Abused Deaf. And they are also a partner that works with, they provide classes and workshops here at the center. Thank you for being here. And we've got somebody here that was going to work on, maybe trying to work on the font, but I think since we've started, maybe we'll try to, maybe at a break or another time, try to work on that. Ron works with technology, and we also have Rob Wall, who helps with technology, and they're working together to try to fix this issue. Are there any other partners here that I haven't recognized? Utah RID, Utah Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf. We've got USOR, DWS. Again, many partners working together. Just want to give you an idea of what our organizational framework looks like. I am the assistant director and associate director. And there's the USOR. Again, I mentioned Sarah Brenna. She is my supervisor, and she is over DSTHH, our division. And it's not just the Sanderson Center, it's the entire state of Utah that USOR and DWS work with. We have 4 main programs in our division. We provide community services, which Annette is over. And we have Grant, who works at in Southern Utah, and is responsible for that program. And then Mitch Jensen runs the Utah Interpreter program. And then Morgan Smith is the community events planner. And so I am over those 4 individuals. I supervise these 4 people. And each of them have assistants. Jennifer is my assistant, and she does a lot of the office work and paperwork and facility management. And again, like I mentioned, we're going to let each one of them come up and talk a little bit about their specific services that they provide. And definitely want to recognize them and give them an opportunity to share what they do. And Pamela's mentioning that we do have this printed out down the hall in larger format. One by the sliding glass doors, another one on the wall, and near the front desk, and one near classrooms B and C, so you can get an idea of what the organizational structure of our division is. I'm going to turn the time over to Sarah. She's going to talk a little bit about her role at USOR. My name is Sarah Brenna, and I'm learning a little bit of sign language. I'm a little nervous. Nice to see everyone, and welcome.
That's about the extent of my sign. Okay, I've been learning a lot. I'm taking the ASL beginner class with PML. She's awesome. It's nice to be able to actually learn a little bit. I'm looking forward to learning more than fruits and vegetables and colors, although those are important. But it's getting a little deeper right now. We're learning about he's and she's and directional verbs, and a little overwhelming, but it's been fun. So I know you can't read this at all, the org chart that's on the screen. So I will just kind of walk through how USOR fits within the overall Department of Workforce Services, talk a little bit about the other divisions that are in Workforce Services and kind of how we fit in. So as Dan said, I'm the director of the Utah State Office of Rehabilitation. We've been with DWS almost over 2 years now. So I thought it would be helpful to kind of show how my division fits in with everything else in the department. Just a little bit about me. I don't know if you're curious or not. Curious? Just learn that? Okay. I actually worked with the state of Utah before, so I've been in this job about 1.5 years. And before I came back to Workforce Services, I was working in Salt Lake County. There I was the Director of Aging and Adult Services, and we administered Meals on Wheels, senior centers. We have about 18 community centers around Salt Lake County, and foster grandparent, a bunch of volunteer programs. It was the best job I ever had until I took this job. Before that, when I worked at the department before, I was on for about 7 years. I was actually a program manager. I worked with legislation and policy. I worked with refugees. I worked with temporary assistance for needy families. I administered that program. A lot of job training programs, so a lot of kind of policy stuff. But it's been good. I love public service. I've worked in government my entire career, and I'm very dedicated to public service and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the community, and that's what we're here for. So we have Dan's mission and the mission of DSDHH, not your mission alone, but the whole division. And I'm just really excited to hear today about what we can be doing better, what the needs are in the community, and what we should be doing to meet those needs. Okay, enough of that. So, what you can't see on the org chart is the different divisions. You can see that the executive director of workforce services is John Pierpont. He's my boss. There's actually a deputy. He has 2 deputies that work for him, and all of the divisions are underneath that. Did you include that org chart? The one with all the divisions?
No. No. I thought it was
Okay.
simple.
Okay, all right, so I'll just kind of talk about it very briefly. So we're one of, I think, maybe 9 divisions within the Department of Workforce Services, USOR is. Other divisions include unemployment insurance. You've probably heard of unemployment insurance. Eligibility services, that's who does eligibility for like Medicaid and food stamps and other cash assistance types of programs. Labor market information, we have a huge arm that does a lot of research about the economy. Refugee Services Office, they have a facility, not quite a community center, but they're trying to make it more of a community center. Because Utah, even though we're a smaller state, we do resettle a large number of refugees. So that's just a sample of the things. We also have the employment centers around the state where we support people looking for employment. We provide assistance in each of those offices. And vocational rehabilitation is actually, we are moving more into those facilities so that we're all in one place in communities where that makes sense. So that's just a very brief picture of the overall department. I'd be happy to answer questions if you have any. USOR specifically has, we call them subdivisions. We have 5 subdivisions. We have DSDHH, which is obviously my favorite. We have, I'm kidding, Steve, I know, I knew I get busted. Also, the Division of Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired, you met Steve earlier, it's also my favorite. We have Vocational Rehabilitation, we actually call it the Division of Rehabilitation Services, DRS. Aaron Thompson is the director of that subdivision, and that's your traditional vocational rehabilitation programs. We have an assistive technology program within that area. We have employer business relations in that division, and we have 23 different offices around the state. That number might have changed, so don't quote me on that as we're moving into different locations. But so we have a statewide presence there. We also do disability determination services. It's our best kept secret. It's a federal program primarily that the state of Utah administers through USOR. DDS basically determines eligibility for Social Security applications. So we get a lot of federal money for that. They kind of keep a low profile because basically all they do is determine eligibility and do hearings, but a lot of you probably heard of that. Am I missing? I think I've got it all. Oh, and we do have, it's not really a subdivision, but we have kind of a program and policy arm of rehab services that deals with things like our state plans, federal requirements, state requirements. They do training for staff, that sort of thing. So really we have 4 main subject areas or divisions within USOR and DWS. Any questions I can answer for anybody on that boring stuff? Oh, one question too.
So for people, for senior citizens or members of the community whose needs aren't being met, those who need deaf senior citizens, are there services specifically for them?
I'm gonna have Dan or one of our program managers talk about the different opportunities. We don't, in the department anyway, we don't separate out services for, older deaf. There are some cash assistance programs available, for older blind and older deaf through, I believe it's through Medicaid. But other than that, it's the community center, it's our other job training programs. Anyone is welcome to participate. Am I answering your question? I mean, we want to hear from you what we can be doing better or differently too. So if there's something we're not providing that's needed, that's why we're here today.
Just wondering if there's a program. We have nurses that don't understand the deaf population who are in, for example, an assisted living home or nursing facility, and it's very frustrating for the deaf who need those services.
I understand. I think that's one of the things that we want to write down. Is that something that obviously is a community need that we need to figure out what we can do to help? We do have an interpreter program. We help certify programs. We have a board that helps advise us on interpreter issues. But there's larger issues there that we need community support on that we can't necessarily do alone. But that's okay. We want to help with those things. We just need to identify them, and then we'll figure out how to do things better. Because I think that is a real critical need in a lot of different fields.
Oftentimes, the doctor doesn't understand how to use a video phone or the video relay services, or medical personnel doesn't know how to use the relay system. So we want to make sure that medical staff maybe are trained or are educated on how to use these services.
Okay, and I'm going to add, did you have an organizational question before I, okay, then I'll turn it back over to Dan who can answer more specific questions. Yeah,
And could you please state your name?
I'm Kathy Evans. You mentioned that there's an assistive technology section under voc rehabilitation. Who is that intended for? Can I take advantage of?
Did you get the question? So it's called UCAT, Utah Center for Assistive Technology. My understanding, I just learned this actually, is that they used to be part of education, a whole separate arm. They were not part of USOR even. They since moved under USOR, but they do serve more than just voc rehab clients. They do serve the community. We work very closely with the independent living centers. Some of the money that we get for assistive technology is earmarked for individuals who have come through the independent living system. But we also have money available to support pretty much anyone that has a disability that needs some assistance. There's limited funds, so they try to prioritize and figure out what we can do, but we do vehicle modifications, we do wheelchairs, we work with other organizations in the community to find equipment if we don't have it. So I guess I'm saying it's a really cool service, and on our website, you should be able to find that. Can we have jobs.utah.gov and then USOR? Because if you go under rehabilitation, you'll find links to that service, and or call me, email me, whatever, and I can get you that information. But for example, we have a couple of conjoined twins come in this summer, and they needed something to help their mobility and even just be able to start developing normally. So our shop, we actually have occupational therapists, we've got others there that are trained in how to use technology, and they will create things for individuals. So they made it kind of customized. It was kind of a swing that they could use. Anyway, so they came back in, we tried to modify things. So it can be really cheap, it can be really expensive, but really anyone who can benefit should call. And then we'll see if we can help them out. Okay. I'm here if you have other questions throughout. I can come back up. Okay, thank you.
Dan, what am I going to do with this microphone? Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate your explaining the organizational structure and giving us a better idea of what the structure is and how that all works. It's nice that we have these services, and we can always add services to these different divisions. Now we're going to turn the time over to our program managers. I think we'll start with Mitch. Where did Mitch go? We lost Mitch. Oh, Mitch is doing some testing. Annette, do you want to go ahead and start then? Let's start with you. Due to time, I'm just going to, we'll limit questions to just a few, and then if there's time at the end, we'll allow for more questions then. Hello everyone, I'm Annette Stewart. I'm a social worker here, and I have been here forever. I started back in 1999, and again, yeah, forever. I have an awesome team. I feel like we have the best group. We have an employment specialist who helps with employment placement and retention, and who's extremely skilled. And that is Pamela Maurer. If you wouldn't mind standing, Pamela. There she is over there. Hi, Pamela. And Pamela can help anyone who is job searching. You don't have to be a vocational rehabilitation client. She can help anyone looking for a job. We also have case managers. We have 2 case managers. We have Laurie Monell and Stephen Persinger. Where is Stephen? Where is he? There he is, right here next to me on stage. So we've got Stephen up here. And the 2 case managers support people who have needs. It could be a range of, such as house hunting, looking for a housing, Medicaid, helping people apply for different services. I'm in the interpreter mode right now. I can't remember what I do in my real job. Let's see, what else? And it could be any type of need. They work a lot with immigration, people looking to get citizenship. What else? People applying for food stamps. What else? Jody, help me out here. Actually, I have a question. We have vocational rehabilitation who helps with job placement, but we also have Pamela. So what's the difference? So vocational rehabilitation helps, well, maybe Kelly would be better to explain what vocational rehabilitation does. Vocational helps set up funding, and Pamela does not have funding. Pamela helps with job placement, getting certified. So once someone's certified or has gotten their education and ready for job search, then they are referred to Pamela to help actually find the job. So vocational rehabilitation is basically the foundation to get you trained and ready for a job. There's something called UWIPs and Social Security planning. So if you have Social Security benefits and you're thinking about going to work, we have someone who can sit down and talk with you about how that would affect your benefits. Jessica has something. about early intervention for children and adults. Yes, we provide different services. We have committees, Salt Lake City Disability Community, Early Intervention. Wait, hold on, I'm trying to look. What else? EHI, I'm trying to remember the acronym. Thank you for that. We also provide, there's a program called SHIP, Seniors Health Insurance Program. So we bring in people from that program as well as an interpreter, and they work with our community members to, with Medicare coverage and any Medicare changes that they need to make. We also work with the HEAT program. We have people from HEAT come out and help with utilities such as heat and gas. And again, we bring in an interpreter with them and work with our community members. We also have the VITA program that's been running for a very long time, for probably over 10 years now. And we have deaf who help people prepare their taxes. And they work one-on-one with our deaf and hard of hearing community members. We also have a legal clinic that's hosted here. And if they have any legal questions that they need answered. Someone asked earlier, as far as being in a nursing home, you can be very isolated out there. People are placed in, and so it can be very depressing because of that isolation. And so we realize that is a huge issue among our population, and so we have goals to work on that. We have so many goals we're working towards. So am I missing anything? Does anyone have any questions for me? Hello, Annette. Are you partnering with any agencies to perhaps have a retirement home for the deaf so that deaf aren't so isolated and alone out there? That would be a great goal. We have been in touch with different nursing homes. We are starting that process and asking if they would be willing to take a person who is deaf, a deaf group, or maybe perhaps having a deaf unit or wing. That all depends on people's insurance. There are so many variables. So we haven't found a solution to that yet, but working on it. And then Donna. At one of the nursing homes, somebody's hair was cut off. My hair used to be really long, but somebody came in and cut my hair while I was asleep. I didn't even know it was happening to me at the time. Nobody protected me from this happening. It was very shocking to me. And we'll talk about that individually later. Okay. And Laurie Monell is another one of the case managers. Anyway, just wanted to let you know who I am and what we do, what our team does.
Right, thank you. So yes, lots of different services. And of course we have dreams and goals, things we'd like to be able to do. And of course, as we keep moving through using these different services, we want to continue to increase our ability to provide services. If you would mind talking with Annette and asking her questions directly, that'd be great as well. Pamela was working with me, in fact, even for my own resume, and she did a great job. She's an example of somebody who I was able to take advantage of her services, and it helped me out. I wanted to mention, if you have the paper with you that we handed out at the very beginning, there's some blank space on there. If you're trying to remember your questions you'd like to ask, why don't you write them down so you don't forget? And we also have a comment box. So if you would like to work with one of us, here, the DSDHH staff, go ahead and put your questions in that comment box. We can talk to you another time if today doesn't work out. Or because we're filming this, if you would rather not talk about it publicly. So we do have, like I said, many different staff members that can work with you. And if needed, you're not sure about writing your questions down, you could work with, say, Ron, Mary Beth, Pamela, even Mitch Moyers, to have it recorded, and you can just do it in your native language. You can sign your question, and they can help you with that too. So, Mitch, are you ready? Oh, Mitch said my name was on there first, and Annette already went, so I guess I'm done. Okay, anyway, sorry I had to leave for just a bit. We're doing a testing right now. I'll try to keep it short about our program. We focus on certification for interpreters. We want to make sure that we have interpreters who are proficient in their skills and they can continue to move on and provide good services in their career of interpreting. So first, we have testing, of course, that they have to go through. Right now, we are in the middle of developing a new test, and it's very complex, this testing, but we're very hopeful it'll be very effective. No, it will be. So, also, I want to make sure that if you're not happy with the services that are provided through an interpreter in the community, you contact us. We deal with those situations as well. We would be happy to help you handle those situations. We also have interpreters that work here at the center and provide their interpreting services for the Sanderson Center here, also for vocational rehabilitation as well. And I think that's it. Good. Oh, Dan's asking any questions for Mitch. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, hold up right here. So, is it your responsibility for interpreters? There's the many different groups of interpreters. Like just as an example, here we have Julie who works with Interwest, and then there's different agencies. Are you somehow involved with those different organizations or agencies as well? Well, with the state law, they do have to be recognized. So their information is placed in our database so that they can work in the state as far as interpreting services. So yeah, I guess in that way we're involved with all agencies. Okay? All right, thank you, Mitch. So Mitch is our longest employed member here. 31 years, right? Is the counting? Wow. Congratulations, Mitch. Keep up the good work. And now, Grant, we've had you come up, please. First off, Hamilton. Anyway, so, no problem. So, in southern Utah, I'm not sure how many of you have come and visited us yet. Maybe raise your hands, who has? Okay. It's a very large and fancy facility. No, it's actually not. We don't have a gym. We don't have a cafeteria or a kitchen. We have a small, staff kitchen, sure. But anyway, so we're more of a smaller facility, but we feel very fortunate because our building can beat even some of the other states around us. So we're very fortunate to have our remote, rural building in southern Utah. And it's about a 4-hour drive from here. And we have all kinds of events. We have probably 4 to 6 events every month. And so that means if you do drive to California and you're swinging by, you might stop by our office and visit our people there. That would be wonderful. We have about 11 employees there. 3 currently are full-time. And we have others who are part-time. We have an interpreter, an Excel teacher, those kinds of things as a part of our staff. Our full-time people are case managers, just like we had mentioned earlier, as Annette was mentioning that. We have a hard of hearing specialist who's like Shelley. We kind of try to follow the program that is established here, and we just might have a little bit more diverse kind of responsibilities because many of the staff members have to wear multiple hats. So we have mental health counseling and also as the division director or as the center director. So I do both of those responsibilities. So we also have a person doing events as well as consulting or case management. And so a lot of different hats for every staff member. We were established about 2000, I think it was right around 2000 is when our center was established. And it was a small group of deaf people that were thinking, well, we're out here, we need services. And so we needed to get some donations and have people contributing. And so we tried and worked on it. And finally, the state was informed with Sanderson. Sanderson was saying, well, why don't we support the center down in Southern Utah, St. George. And so they're able to work together. This gentleman worked for a bank and was also a legislator. His name is Dave Clark. And he got involved. And he went to the state capitol and lobbied with legislators, telling them how much we needed this deaf center and the services for the deaf and hard of hearing in St. George. And they were all in. So they provided the funding that we needed, and we were able to establish our center. So that's our program. But I also wanted to add, with Stephen Ehrlich, he had a question in discussing like a nursing home or assisted living center for specifically deaf and hard of hearing people. I think that would be so great to have in our state. Our rural areas have terrible isolation. There are very few people that might be deaf in these rural areas. And so it seemed like they're more easily cut off than people who can hear. And so what's been happening is we've been sending some people to Oregon, because in Oregon they do have a center, and they're all deaf employees that work there that can sign, maybe not deaf, they may be hard of hearing or whatnot, but they are able to sign, and they can help with nursing, food prep, all kinds of different things that may be needed for these people. But then, unfortunately, it was shut down. And the reason being, somebody had asked, why? Well, a larger business bought them out. And as they were looking at the structure and everything, they noticed that a lot of the recipients of these services were on Medicaid or Medicare, and they felt like that wasn't as efficient financially for them. And so they shut it down. So 100%, I guess, so for me, that was one of the biggest discussions with that director, is what was going on and what was happening. But that person moved to another state and is working with a nursing home somewhere else trying to help with the deaf. So it's very unfortunate that is no longer around. Kind of a sad thing, but throughout the U.S., I'm sure that somewhere, somehow, they'll be able to do something like that, and that'd be great for us. I think our laws are very different than some of the other states, and so it may be more challenging depending on where the state is that tries to establish something like this, and working with legislators and those kinds of things. As far as moving into a assisted living center or something like that. Anyways, any questions? That's our program. So my name is Nancy. Got a question? I used to live in Arizona, and there was a place, apartments, where I think it was in Phoenix, Phoenix. And so there were apartments where there were many deaf people. Now, thank you for letting me know, but you say apartments, is that assisted living or just senior citizens, or? It was, but he was deaf, whatever the age, and just a lot of people were there. It wasn't the same here. So anyway, it's just an apartment complex with multiple deaf people living there. But the apartments were established with like lights that would flash for doorbells or fire alarm systems that were catered to the deaf and those kind of things in an apartment complex there in Arizona. Oh, well, thank you for informing us. All right, thank you, Grant. Now, I've been down to visit Grant several times, and If any of you are going through, I would recommend that you stop by their center. It's a nice place. Morgan, if you want to go next. Hello, everyone. Gotta liven up, everybody. A little bit of excitement. How are all of you? Good. Hello, my name is Morgan Smith. I am not a long time employee here, like Mitch. I joined very recently, back in, was it August, September? So just a little while now. My job title is the Community Program Manager. So I am supporting Shelley Wyatt. She's our hard of hearing specialist. She is fantastic. She hosts all kinds of different workshops, classes, presentations. She goes to health fairs to teach about hard of hearing individuals' needs, services, and resources that we can provide at our center. I'm not sure if you want to add anything else, Shelley? No? Okay. That's fine. Okay. And then also, Mary Beth. She is our community events and educational coordinator. She also does a great job hosting workshops and classes, presentations. She works closely with our Circle of Friends group, people who are deaf or hard of hearing but also have other additional disabilities, and hosting different types of classes and events for them. They get to go to different locations and learn more about different things here in Utah. And then also involved with the senior citizens. We have different field trips that they all go on as seniors. I wonder if they, or how much they enjoy that. Mary Beth does a good job of trying to put together different events for them as well. Then we also have Mitch Moyers. He's our contact and assistive technology coordinator. He goes and gives presentations as well to different universities, campuses, health fairs, whatever it might be, explaining the deaf and hard of hearing needs, things that we provide, resources that we have, and the services that we can have provided to our community. I don't know if anybody else want to mention anything else. Do we have any other questions? Anything? No? Good. Okay. Well, that was nice. Short and sweet. I hope that satisfies everybody's questions. All right. Thank you. Mitch, he did inform me that there's another thing as far as interpreter certification. There's a new certification that we'll be doing here, and it'll be the CDI, Certified Deaf Interpreters. So that's another goal that we're working on to try and finish that test and be able to provide that, I believe, in the end of June, or was it the beginning of July? Was it June 30th or July 1st? Okay, July 1st. And so after July 1st, from then on, we'll be able to have certification services from somebody who is deaf, like Trenton, who's here, or Dean, who's in the back, what Stephen's doing right now. So they've had to film everything, establish the questions that provide proof of knowledge of the needs, and then also the performance needs. So we have novice, who's somebody that's more like a beginner. We have a professional. We've had those two types of certifications, but we're trying to do a more modern and updated version so that it's more standardized for the community, and we want that to be something that's expected for everyone, right? That's very exciting to have it more of a standard test for the community. And then also evaluations. We do provide, okay, so we also provide certification testing, but also some evaluations. If somebody's watching a stimulus and they're trying to, basically it's a mock interpreting situation. They can practice that filming and then have that discussed. But as far as the test, we have raters that will actually look at it and make sure that the person is proficient in their interpreting skills. So there is a rubric that they will have where they can identify if this interpreter is qualified. Mitch looks this over and he gives them a pass or a fail. If they fail, they can take the test again. So. Sorry. So 6 different ratings. I guess I pointed it out as Mitch making that decision. Excuse me, there are 6 raters that will look at one individual's test. And so I explained that wrong, sorry. You're warmed up. I just kind of wanted to throw up here on this PowerPoint all the different services that we have had You can look at the different listings here. This is not all of the services, but a good amount of them.
I did not add senior citizen as well. That's my bad. I apologize for that. Again, this is not an inclusive list, but does list a variety of the services. I feel bad for not including that. And Stephen has a question or comment. Just wanted to make sure that tactile classes were listed as well. And yes, Stephen, they are listed on the screen. Stephen actually teaches many deaf-blind individuals who have progressive hearing or vision loss and need to learn how to communicate using the tactile method. And so Stephen teaches those classes. He teaches them both at the Blind Center as well as the center here. And those are weekly held classes. So thank you for that, Stephen. Also wanted, again, to add that we have senior citizens here every Wednesday that clock into Classroom B and C. That is their place that they can come enjoy one another's company, play card games, lunch, enjoy each other again. There's a lot of laughter going on there. I learned a lot of different signs that I haven't seen for a long time. I saw my grandparents sign that, and so I get to go in and learn and enjoy myself there as well. And Ramona's asking, can you explain a little bit about what the children's camps are? Ramona is a good friend of ours. Again, these children camps, we have basketball camps, we have offer volleyball camps for children. During the summer, in August, we have Lance Allred, who teaches a basketball clinic. We also have children of deaf adults. So hearing children who have deaf parents, it's called CODAs. They have a camp who have just some shared experiences and then can really feel like, oh, somebody else gets me. And so they have workshops that they can attend and feel supported. What other children's camps do we have? Mary Beth, are you back there? All eyes on you. What can you maybe talk about some of the other camps that are held here? We already mentioned the basketball clinics, the kids camps. We also have family activities every year. For example, there's the Halloween harvest. We have a fun maze, and families are invited and to come and participate in the fun events. In spring, we have the egg hunt. I believe that's coming up in end of March or April. Is that right? April 13th, actually. So mark that on your calendars. And what are the ages for that? There is an age limit, sorry. From 1 to 12 can participate in the egg hunt. Is that just for deaf or hard of hearing? It's for anyone, deaf, blind as well. That'd be great to have everyone participate. So we'd love to have them, yes, of course. And we learn from one another. So good point. If you have ideas for classes and workshops, you would want to get in touch with either Morgan or Mary Beth. If there's things that you'd like to learn or have topics or ideas, please share them. You have a question from Sari. And Sarah's asking about victim support in the rural areas. Are there offices? I know that we have the offices Southern Utah, and we have the center here, but are there remote offices for victims who are in those rural areas? And Dan's mentioned, yes, something like a satellite office. Sometimes our case managers go out and meet with clients in these remote areas. What other cities have you gone to? I know Stephen's responsible for Salt Lake and North. Lori works more south. Sometimes we use DWS offices or vocational rehabilitation offices. Sometimes we'll meet in libraries. So we do meet with people all over. We wouldn't go to somebody's home, but we would meet in a public place. So that's a great idea to have more satellite offices. And Stephen has a question or comment. There's also the Christmas activity sponsored by the Hine family, who there's for children. Again, it's sponsored by the Hine family. They have their grandparents who are now passed started this Christmas party where they hosted. They always wanted to give back to the deaf community, so they host this at Christmas time. It's called the Hine Family Holiday Party for hard of hearing, deaf, blind children to come and enjoy the holiday season. Looks like we've got about 30 minutes left. Quickly, just want to show some pictures. Since I'm new here. I've been here for about a year. But before that, the deaf or the center here have different accomplishments and events and works in progress over the years. And a lot of this came from the community and the people who have worked here and have been very successful over the years. Does this look familiar to anyone? This is the boiler room, the heating, air conditioning system. So when there's been equipment that's broken down, that hasn't been great, we've had issues with air conditioning and heating, and so we've had a whole new HVAC system replaced. The older building had an older system, and then we added a new wing with new technology and new system, and trying to merge the two don't always work very well together. So they've had to do a lot of changes. We've had to come in and find that the pressure's not working or replace some parts, and so there's been all kinds of different technologists, mechanics coming in, trying to figure out what the issues are and why the temperature's not the way it should be, and it's been very tedious and very complex. So we've had a new revamped system, and it feels like it's working, not a great 100% improvement, but there's definitely been improvement. And so hopefully that will continue to work better. Again, it's been a very complicated job, and glad to see that that's working. We appreciate DFCM and their efforts in revamping the heating and air conditioning system. And DFCM is the Department of Facilities and Construction Management. Thank you, sir. The first picture in the upper left. This is, we have recently hosted a pro tactile training. Like I mentioned, the tactile training, this is more in-depth training, just more in physical cues. For example, if you were asking a deaf-blind person, and Rosemary here was involved in this training, and so she was saying, like, so if you're in a building and you don't know where the bathroom is, you can't really describe it with your hands. The sense of space is very different. There's no visual space. And so you can use your hand, use the person's hand, and mark out on their hand, like a map, draw, and set up references on their hand. So this, for example, is the front door, and then you're going to turn right here. And so use that hand as a visual cue or a physical cue, or use their back. For example, if Stephen is giving a presentation and you have somebody standing over in the corner making a comment, you can tap them on that side using the back as a reference of the room. And so, you know, okay, this means that this person's outside, this area on the back is another visual cue. And so there's different principles. There's 7 main principles with ProTactile ASL, and so that we hosted that. It was a 3-day workshop, and it was amazing. We learned so much. And that was held back in November. We have 3 different phases with this ProTactile training. We hosted the first, and then we are sending some deaf-blind participants to go out. The original plan was to have a 1-week camp, but we realized that's not enough time, so we're sending them out to a training center. It'll be a 6-week training. They'll attend in a different state and learn how to use ProTactile in different situations. And then there will be a 3rd phase where those who have been sent out, such as Stephen, Ramona, Rosemary, can educate other members, other deafblind members, and teach the community members and share different life experiences. Because they have their unique perspective and how they define space rather than how we see it. So we can learn from them. So that 3rd phase is where they come back and educate us. Again, the 2nd phase is they go out, get the training, they come back and are more fluent and able to train others in the ProTactile system. So that's our goal and our long-term plan. In the lower left, it looks really lonely out there. We need to use that courtyard out there. Right outside this room, you'll see the courtyard. Adam and his staff have painted the tables to draw people. It looks a little bit more lively. There's a grill out there. There's tables. So it's a beautiful space, so we encourage people to take advantage and use it. Can we turn this into a racquetball court? So do you want an outdoor racquetball court, or do you talk about putting on a roof? Yeah, a roof would be nice. If there's increased interest, that's always a possibility. Ping pong tables, they could be pulled out and used out in the courtyard. And Stephen has a comment. Last week at the advisory council meeting, we talked about putting the railing in. We have a lot of people who have difficulties with balance, and especially in inclement weather. I would suggest that we add some sort of railing, some sort of pole or railing between the 2 different poles. So just a suggestion. Tomorrow I'm meeting with DFCM, or Dan is meeting with DFCM, so maybe that's a suggestion you can make. And if Ramona, if you want to add anything to that. And Dan's mentioning in the front lobby, the entrance. We've got a couple comments, so Ramona, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, what I was thinking, I was sharing with Stephen was where to put the rail that most likely convenient for people. So when you're stepping out from the lobby to outside, you've got the window glass that does not open on the left where the trash can is. Maybe you start the rail there and curve around to hit the pole. And then of course you've got some walkway to the sidewalk, you're gonna have to keep that open. But this would be an immediate grasp onto the rail as you step out. And I think that would be a lot more security than on the left side as you're stepping out. I'm just kind of throwing it out there for you to go ahead. I really, really appreciate all the hard work you all put in. Thank you.
We absolutely need the deafblind input, and so especially when it comes to accommodations for this building. Thank you for that, Ramona. This is Rosemary. I have a hard time seeing in the hallway, and all of the hallways in this building, it's quite dark, and so it's difficult for me to navigate through the halls. I wish it was a little bit brighter, that way I could see and make my way a little bit better. And Dan says that's definitely on our list. When we have DFCI would come in to work on getting appropriate lighting for the building and for the walkways and hallways. We are definitely working on that, Rosemary. Thank you for that.
And talking about that front walkway, I noticed when I was with someone that dip for the accessible parking caught them by surprise and they almost fell. I wonder if you could put some stripes on it or something so they're aware that the surface changes.
We'll definitely make a note of that. Thank you. One last comment. And could you please say your name? Janice. Janice Burgow. She's describing a location. It's very difficult to walk in this location. I have a hard time. And so again, it would be nice to have some railing. And Dan's mentioning that, yes, that's exactly what we've been talking about as far as adding some railing. I know we don't have anything currently, but if you feel uncomfortable making your way back to your vehicle or your ride, please ask one of the staff members to assist you until we can get some rails put up. You have a quick comment? We've got to try to get through this real quickly. This is Nellie. Wondering if you host a CPR class for the seniors. And Morgan, do you want to take that? Yeah, there are several of us seniors who would love to take the CPR class. Yes, that has been discussed, and so make sure you talk to either Morgan or Mary Beth. And we should definitely have a first aid kit, and Dan says we do actually have one at the front desk. And I'm just going to try to run through this real quick. We have now a tractor for snow removal and to mow the grass. So it's a 2-in-1. You can put a blade on it to work as a lawnmower or as a snow removal plow. So we had an old one that we had so many issues with, and we finally were able to convince the higher-ups that, I know we have people that we could contract with to come out, but we'd like to take care of our building ourselves. And so we were able to convince them to allow us to purchase a new tractor that has been, and Adam's really happy about that, right, Adam? You're loving your new tractor? Oh, and it is definitely, of course. Is the grass or the snow being thrown onto cars? And Adam, you'll have to make sure you complain to Adam about that to make sure the grass blade isn't being thrown out onto your car. Yeah, if there's ever an issue, please talk to Adam. Appreciate your comment. Some changes that we made here at the center. The new sliding glass doors are one renovation. I know it was very difficult to open the old doors. I know a lot of people had a hard time, especially because we're using our hands to communicate. Stevens talked about being frustrated because people don't pay attention and he gets hit by the doors. So these electronic doors or sliding doors are great, so we appreciate having that. And it only opens on one side. And that allows for the person at the front desk to be able to see who's entering and exiting the building. That's why you all enter and exit just on the left side, so that the staff are able to have a better view.
So just good to remember that if you're entering the building, you enter on the left, and if you're leaving, it's on the right. And then somebody mentioned that it's like the hospitals. Yeah. Anyways, another nice thing about those doors as well is if there is an emergency, you can actually push them open. So if there's a fire, we have a lot of people trying to exit the building, there is a way that you can push the doors, the framework is built so you can push the doors open outwards, so it opens it all. And somebody's asking, why is it not like that on this other side of the building? Yeah, so we're working on that. We're begging and pleading. Everybody begging and pleading to Sarah so that she can also continue begging and pleading to the upper administration. We'll continue. I'll keep begging. But no, Sarah's been great. She's been listening to all the needs that we have. So. And you might wonder what this is, all these different screens that you see up here. So yeah, right, Kathy Holt said that it's for security reasons, right? So we had problems in the past, whether it might be old equipment, wiring, those kinds of issues. And it was just old technology. So it was about 14 or 15 cameras that we established. No, it was 16? No, 15. Okay. So it looks like 15 cameras have now been replaced. We have them in the hallways, and we also have some in the gym. And then as well, we have some cameras that oversee the product. So Adam's able to follow along if there's any need for security. You can see what's happening with those cameras. And then also lighting, that's also something new. They've changed the lighting to LEDs. There's a time I was working late, and then I went outside and these lights came on and it blasted me how bright it was. I almost fell down. You notice how much brighter it is out there? It's so great. So in the past, I couldn't really see my car almost, but now I can definitely see it with the LED lights. So it's for security reasons.
Have you had any complaints from the neighbors with how bright those lights are?
Oh, none that I'm aware of. It's almost like I can say it's not my problem, sorry. No, I know we have some housing near us, and so the question was, are they complaining about the lights being too bright? I haven't heard anything. Is anybody else? No, I guess so they just say, well, too bad, sorry. But I don't think that we've been alerted as far as any complaints. So for community service team, congratulations to them. With the new policy, if a staff member, case manager, is working with a consumer, they're unable to use staff computers. They have to use their own separate system. So the staff member will use their own computer, and then we have to have a separate community computer. And so in the hallway, as you go out here, it's down this main hallway. It's about three doors down on the right. We have this little office where they have 2 community computers. What's really nice too is they have these computers where you can look things up, search the web, get certain files that you may need, but also there are the iPads in there that you can use for video phone calls. So if you need to talk to someone, get in touch with an office or someone that you need to get some information, you can use those to call. And as far as confidentiality, we have a drape that we can open up between the 2 desks. So it would go right down the middle right there. And then there's a printer there as well. So with that printer, you can print out those forms. Another addition was our ice machine. People are applying good. So now, understandably though, it is for staff member use. If you have a small, say, cup that you want to fill up, that's great. But if you bring a huge igloo and you take all of our ice, that would be a problem. You know, the old machine we had, it had a big scoop in it. It was really old, it was getting worn out. Plus, we were worried about contamination. People putting their hands in there with that little shovel to get out the ice. It was kind of difficult. So from now on, if you have any parties, please go to a store and buy your own ice, fill up the igloos with that, But this is just good for little self-serve type cups. And then we have that in the kitchen. Pamela, are we good on time? Is it we're okay? Just want to check in and see where we're at. Oh, okay, so it looks like we're definitely a little behind. So, in the back of the building, we have staff vehicles and also a little shed and whatnot for Adam and his maintenance. And we had a problem with the old fence. It was so difficult to open it up. I almost had a hernia trying to push that gate open. I didn't want to have a hernia. It was terrible. But now I can just very easily push the doors open or the gates open. Maybe I'm weak and somebody's saying, oh, you're just weak. Maybe so. Flabby arms, somebody's saying flabby arms. Well, you can get a workout, I guess, but. So, again, like I mentioned with the testing, we're doing it from scratch. Our own filming, we're talking about all the different parts of the testing. It's a two-part project. So, developing the certification testing with the filming, we have these computers, and it's important because we also have a database for the interpreters as well, all the information as far as the interpreters in the state. So we have this old system, and now we're trying to change it to this new system. It has been so difficult. And we're still in that process, isn't that right, Mitch? Yeah. So the IT group that we work with for the state, they have more of an in-depth kind of a situation where we have the interpreters' names, they have a confidentiality with that, then the training, the confidentiality with that, then we also have staff members and the services provided by staff, and then we have the raters. So all these people are involved with this structure of this website. The raters will be able to look at the performance recordings and be able to do their scorekeeping, and then they send that back through the service. And so we're just trying to change this website to make it work for everyone, and it's been required. It requires a lot of patience, but we're still working on it. So this is an example of Cindy doing work with the UIP. So Cindy is helping Mitch, and then also this picture here to the right. It's where they're doing the video editing and working on making sure that it looks very smooth and clean for the videos that will be used in the certification modules. So if I have a goal to become an interpreter, I come in, I sit in the hot seat, and I can do my mock test, so I can have practice, and then I go ahead for my actual test. I would go in there and I'd watch someone signing. And so for me being deaf, I would use the CDI. So I would be trying to mirror them or whatnot, or trying to work with the hearing interpreter. So if I fail, then I can try again. But we want to make sure that there's enough variety or versions of these different tests so they can't just get used to a test. They have to actually show their skill. So we have several people that are working with us on that. The guy you see in this picture is Gideon. He is deaf. He's a UVU student, and he is phenomenal with doing this work with the software and everything. Trenton is participating with the editing as well. He's helping with that. And we also have other interpreters who are working on the audio portions of these videos as well. So we talked about the case service individuals. Pamela, Stephen, Lori. Where is Lori? Oh, right there. Lori, did I miss anybody? And also Diego from Southern Utah. So if you're working with any one of them, Stephen, Annette, Pamela, and whatnot, as far as casework, you want to look at their services, maybe have any concerns or anything. If you want to give feedback, this is their contact information. And of course, we have right here this little link. It's in ASL. And so if you don't want to read it in text, you can look at this link, and it'll be in ASL. And that's also a way that you can share information. Thank you. So we had the Townhall Planning Committee send out a survey as far as the Sanderson Center. checking yes or no about certain questions, things you like, things you may not like, areas that need to be improved, and also had a comment box. So, a way for you to share how you feel about the Sanderson Center. We gathered about 21 responses, and so we put that together in this graph. So what we liked most about the center is, that we saw from the community was the facilities, gym, stage, lobby, lounge. And then also the staff, everybody that works here. We have all these different things. People really like the services. So the different programs that we have. They said the staff was very friendly, easy to work with. What was fourth? It seems like something, we're missing a couple things. So on the second bar graph, it doesn't say what was there, and the fourth as well. I'm not sure what those ones are. Also, social media. It seems like the community enjoys the social media, the blogs that we have, the listings on Facebook, the different information posted, basically our PR. And remember, this is only 21 individuals that replied, so we did an average. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. We'll move on. And we also wanted to make sure we had listings of things that we could improve, things that we would like to do to improve this centers. So, any concerns? I know that it is very strongly advocated for the deaf, but what about those with hearing loss? Sometimes they might think, well, what about us? What about the services for those with just a hearing loss, not necessarily deaf? Can we have more programs for us? So we want to have a good balance. But what about also the deaf and blind? Right? So we want to make sure that we're helping all in need. So that was a good comment. Another complaint was that it's just too far. I wish I could come in for more events, but the time and trying to schedule to be able to make it there is difficult. And we had some parents, it seemed, as well. So going to the center, if I had a child who might have a cochlear implant or something like that, would they accept us? What if, because I don't sign well, or my child has a cochlear implant, I don't know if that'd be accepted there. So we want to make sure that we as a staff are accepting to anyone who comes in our doors. We want to be welcoming to anyone. Deaf, hard of hearing, kids with hearing loss, deaf, blind, anybody, and regardless of age as well. Another comment was, we love the family events, the family activities. Keep those going, so that's great. Another thing I noticed, people were saying they wanted to learn more about hearing loss and the deaf. One person said, I think it was their son, had a classmate that had a hearing loss and was really struggling and trying to help. How can my son work with this young boy? So that's another thing, learning, just education. We've also had some issues with refugees and trying to provide services and helping programs or workshops so that people have better help to become citizens. People are struggling with understanding how to become citizens and whatnot. So we want to make sure that we can help them with that process as well. I thought that was an interesting comment. Again, another comment was parents that come in and don't know sign language, the staff members sign and they wonder if there's anybody that they can talk to. Can we get interpreters in those situations? And sometimes the interpreters are not available, but we can figure out a way to communicate. We have to write back and forth, or maybe we have other staff members that might be able to help. So it looks like a comment from Steve, okay. I'd like to make a recommendation. You know that I'm working with those who are losing their vision or in their hearing. So for the deafblind members. We're trying to do the ASL, tactile ASL. I have about 11 students. They have quite a variety of hearing loss and visual loss. But with them, some could speak before they became deaf, right? And in that situation, there is a difficulty. When they come here, they're learning sign language. Then they go home, they are still isolated. They don't really have someone to communicate with, especially with the new things they're learning. And so they've talked about that as a concern. It's been brought up to you, Dan, as well. But we're trying to figure out how can we set up workshops. Maybe also the support service providers that work with the deaf-blind individuals. How can they learn as well? Want to be able to provide support to them. I have a strong feeling for the seniors as well. I think some of the seniors, they may be able to volunteer or work with the state. I'm not sure if the state could pay them, but maybe they could help these deaf-blind individuals, talk with them, use the language with them, and help them to improve their skills. Maybe come to gatherings here. We want to open this up to anyone who is deaf and blind, regardless of their age, where they're from. We want to improve their communication. We don't want them to waste their time or their efforts, especially if they're paying money to be able to get here or whatnot, and they're trying to learn. So we want to support everyone. The deaf and blind, they have their needs that we're trying to figure out as well. We have the ESBVI as well. We're trying to partner with them more and more, and also with USDB, the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind. I think what's really important is perception. How do we present ourselves? How do people view us? That's very important. So the type of work that we do, but also the relationship we have with, say, DWS as well. Somebody had said complaints to DWS, where how we move on, how we solve some of these issues. I think it's been 2 years now, and it has been a challenge. Yes, it is a challenge. We're still trying to figure out how we can develop a better working relationship. Yes, there are always going to be some problems, but my goal is to improve that relationship with them and still be able to focus on our program and our needs. It is nice to have their support when they're able to help us with our needs. I think we just have to, be able to analyze how can we help them as we get help from them. How can we work with the community and partnering with them? DWS is still needing to learn more and be more aware, and so we're always trying to work together. Another person said, I love art. I want classes that can be taught in art, so if I could teach a class, I would like to do that. So if we have any volunteers, that'd be great. Contact Mary Beth if you want to teach anything, art classes, or any other various skills. One senior had mentioned they want to learn how to make baskets, to literally weave baskets. And so they were saying they were curious about that. I thought, sure, why not? So these are the kinds of responses that we were gathering. So again, I think it's good to have analysis. How can we help the community? How can we work better with the community? I know we had the issues in the very beginning of technology, so I think maybe we can extend our time out a little bit, 5-10 minutes for questions. So how about we say 15 more minutes? So is that okay? Is everybody okay with that? Another 15 minutes? Okay.
Thank you, Robert, for volunteering to take over for Stephen. So yeah, if you have any questions, or let the interpreter know if you need someone to sign interpret, or otherwise we'll be voice interpreting. So yeah, feel free to, if anyone on Facebook has questions, let us know and we'll get those asked. Rosemary has a question. Oh, when's the raffle happening? Is Rosemary's question. And we'll do that as soon as we finish our question and comment period. So give us about 15 minutes and we'll do that raffle. Sari says, I have a couple of comments. This is Sari Williams. How can we help in the rural areas? Those people out there participate in classes. How can we connect with our counterparts out in the rural areas? Second question is, how can we help those with special needs, such as those in the circle of friends, with some of the transportation challenges that they face, trying to get to different events that are hosted here? And again, coming up, we're having some parenting classes, and there's those who live out in those rural areas that would like to participate but find it challenging because they can't get here. Another question is, I've had a lot of people who say they need interpreters for AA classes, for example, for drug treatment and recovery. We'd like to see those types of services improved. It's like twisting somebody's arm to get an interpreter there. And those people who attend those need interpreters to be able to benefit from these events. People often say, well, we can't afford to provide or pay for an interpreter, but it has nothing to do with that. There's no drug treatment classes here, so maybe that's something that could be offered. Maybe Annette and I, we talked about working with the State Department of Mental Health. Is that right, Annette? And maybe working on a collaborative program, working with addiction issues, drug and alcohol, any sort of addiction actually, for just the deaf and hard of hearing and deaf blind. So that is a goal of ours. Anything you want to add there, Annette? Stop. The hard part is the interpreting costs. So we need you up high so we can see you. The interpreting costs, for example, for NAMI, it's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And that's a group that's not accessible because there's no interpreters provided. Also AA, and somebody suggesting maybe we can find a grant to cover those interpreting. And then seriously, you're going to volunteer to help with that. We'd love to have you. Yeah, we just need more staff. That's the issue. We hint, hint, and Sarah. And thank you, Sarah, for that. Appreciate those comments. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name, please.
This is Kathy Evans, our Hearing Loss Association. Kathy Evans, our Hearing Loss Association group did a little brainstorming about things we would like to see to bring to the meeting. One of them is we need more daytime classes. Little daytime. We have a lot of seniors who don't want to come out at night, people who work in the evenings or have child care issues, that we need daytime classes. That's something I have harped on for a long time, and I know efforts have been made, but we really need to get UTA to send a class in front of here.
Going back to your first comment, what classes?
The ones for hard of hearing, they specifically wanted the basic signing class, the conversational sign, living with hearing loss. All of those classes need to be daytime here.
And the second
Is how do we get UTA to send a bus? Because we are losing so many people who cannot get here. We'll work on the others.
We are aware of bus issue, we have been in touch with UTA and are in the works, and as well as Taylorsville City. You're saying you couldn't because the street, they determined that the street here, right, is too narrow for the bus to make a turn. This street out in front, 1500 West. The city planners determined that the bus doesn't have enough room to make that turn. And especially where that curve over on the south end of the building, that was their reasoning at the time. They did come out and do a study trying to convince them to add a bus route here. It's not impossible, but they also talked about scheduling, that they would have to add schedules or something like that. UTA does have a committee if you're interested in joining that committee. I think Ramona knows a little bit about that as well as Stephen. So if you want to provide your feedback or comments to UTA and see if they can come up with a resolution for that. You have to come from the main bus stop. Maybe a smaller bus would bring you out here. Maybe those are just some ideas. Did Mary Beth or Mitch, did you want to add anything? And he said, no, I agree with what Jody said. We've got Stephen Ehrlich next. And Stephen says, I know that there's a school bus that drives down here every day that's able to make that, so I feel like that is an excuse by UTA, just trying to justify that they can't provide that, but I've seen school buses that drive along this route, so it should be just fine. Yeah, and I'm actually pretty amazed. Since I've seen that school bus make that turn too, and it is pretty amazing to watch. So maybe we need to record that and send that to UTA. And Kathy?
If the question is that curve to the south end here, if the question is the curve at the south end of 15, why couldn't we give them a little bit of our land to smooth out that curve so it's not so sharp? I mean, our land is their land anyway.
That is an option, maybe having them drop off in the front and then adding more space. Maybe that's something, when we talk to the city council, maybe Sarah and I can talk about how to proceed with that. Talking to Taylorsville City, maybe having a drop off and then having space available for the bus to turn around. That is an idea. And then Stephanie, another idea is, we have a lot of deaf Uber drivers now, as well as Lyft drivers. So we'd like to support deaf businesses, deaf-owned businesses. So perhaps taking advantage of them, or their services that they provide. Maybe we contract with these drivers, Uber and Lyft drivers. One option could be take the bus to the closest stop to the center, and then one of the deaf Uber drivers we contract with, and they pick up from that bus stop and drop them off here. So that's an option. And Dan says, I support that. It's an awesome idea. It's, what do you call it? The deaf ecosystem. Let's take advantage of our deaf-owned businesses and support them. I really like that idea. Did somebody else have a question? Shelley, was that you? No. Any other comments or questions? Joni. Another idea that I'd like to see more of is more outreach to those mainstream students who are very isolated in the public schools, maybe being the only deaf student in a school full of hearing students. So inviting them and making them feel welcome here. I'm trying to think of the number of deaf students, deaf and hard of hearing students that are mainstream is a very high percentage. It's a really high number, and that number's going up, which is great. That's an option for them, but they are very isolated. I experienced that as a student myself, trying to using my sign language, but not in the school system, and so I was mainstream and I struggled. I had my successes, but I also faced challenges. Back then, the support was having other deaf, getting together with my peers weekly, other deaf peers, or classmates who, there was no ASL classes back then. So fast forward to now, with more ASL classes in the schools, people are learning more sign language, so it makes it a little bit easier to network, but they are still very isolated, so we need to continue to support them. And Donna says UTA has a different patron. They have a special service that costs $4 one way, so it's an $8 round trip if you're using UTA's special services, and that's a lot of money for someone like me. At the paratransits, we have some members here who use paratransit. Is that right, Stephen? You're one of them. You use paratransit, correct? I don't use it as much because, like Donna said, it's not affordable. Yes, an $8 round trip can get very expensive. Any other comments? Some new faces. Anyone else? Good. Sorry, she just wants to talk to Dan afterwards. Anyone else? Kathy, did you have something?
No.
And the comment box is out there outside this room on the table, and you feel free to make your comments, or like I said, you could record your comments visually, and you can ask them that way. And there's also, Mitch is taking care of the Facebook comments. So if you have any other questions or comments, you're welcome to record them or write them down. This is Stephanie. I'm not sure if this is already in place, but what about, isn't there a law passed? That all, once a child is identified as being deaf or having hearing loss, they are referred to Utah's Schools for the Deaf and Blind. So I'm wondering if the Deaf Center or the Sanderson Center provides classes for those parents who find out that they have a child with hearing loss. And if you don't, maybe that would be an idea.
I think that's, we run into this question in the hard of hearing program. We have to let the parent infant program take care of them for the first 3 years, and then after that, maybe we can. That's something to explore. I have not learned how to work out a list or how to determine who's hard of hearing or not yet. But if I do get a list, I would certainly start something.
Again, for those, there's the parent-infant program. That's for ages 0 to 3. So if someone is identified as deaf, we have Stephanie Morgan who runs that program. I've been in touch with her, and she says often parents want to learn ASL, but they live out in those rural areas where there's no classes hosted. So parents would love to be able to learn that in the comfort of their own home or close in their location. So we'll have to see if we can come up with some ideas of perhaps hosting classes once a month, or maybe the local parents in that area work with the program. So again, another opportunity. Are we good? Any other? Morgan says I have a comment. I just wanted to add that we want to bring in more diversity and inclusiveness to our center. That means we rely on you for your ideas, and if you feel like things are missing here, please get in touch with us. We want to partner with you. We want to host the events that you're interested in that will benefit you here. Love the ideas that you've shared thus far. I'm trying to remember who mentioned it, but those kids that are mainstreamed and having them feel more inclusive. And so please, again, let me know. I'm happy to work with you on your ideas. So thank you. Oh, what's going on this Friday? This Friday we're having Ally Night, and what that is the LGBTQ night, and we're inviting people to come together and mingle and get to know each other who identify as LGBTQ plus, or even straight, and or who are allies to this community. And so we welcome you to join us if you can, and that will be this Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. in the gym. Hope to see you there. There's also a event, this is Sago Lily hosting this, again, one of our partners, and those who identify as LGBTQ, we don't want to exclude anybody. We want to, that we've had enough of that over the years, and we've had, people who have had friends or family members who have been excluded because of that. I'm close to being 50, and I'm straight, but I want to learn about this too. And I want to be an ally. People of color, those who have additional disabilities, those who, identify as LGBTQ, we want to be supportive of our community, period. We have one more question, and then we'll do the raffle. This is Arlene. This is how long till we're done? Well, I think we're done. So now we'll move on to the raffle. Okay, let's see. Keep your fingers crossed, hoping it's you. Oh, we're still got to memorize my number. Are you ready for prizes? Well, first I want to see you cheer for me. Let's see it. Come on. Oh, that wasn't good enough. I want to feel it. Thank you so much for the administration for hosting this town hall. It was a joy to hear from everyone. Could we get a volunteer to come draw some names? Who wants to pick the first name? We've got Lori. We need you in the light, Pamela. She says, no, I prefer the darkness. The number 601 130. 601130. Anybody? Last three numbers, 130. Lori says, do I get it then? No, darn it. Okay, let's try another one. Anybody have that number? Again, last is 601130. And we may need to get closer for some of the people to be able to see. Yeah, it might be easier just to do the last three digits. And Lori says, no, the anticipation is the fun part. Okay, let's try this one. Are we going to just to the last 3 digits. Okay, last 3 digits. 1, 1, 8. Nancy. Hey, Nancy. Hooray. Beautiful. It's a match. And this is from 5 Star Interpreting. Thank you. Lori says, are you going to share that with me? Oh, maybe. We want somebody else to have an opportunity to draw? Or are we just sticking with Lori? Are we okay with Lori picking? Oh, I guess they don't like me, dang it. Okay, who else wants to volunteer? Oh, Melanie. You gotta stand here in the light, you gotta dance. Okay, just the last 3. 1, 2, 0. What's your name? Jennifer. This is from Interwest. Thank you, Interwest. Yay, Interwest. So $10 Costa Vida. Enjoy. Do we want to stick with Melanie or we want another? Oh, she's such a good dancer. Let's just keep Melanie. One, 5, 3. Kathy Evans. Congratulations. Another one from Interwest, Costa Vida. Hope you enjoy it. Do we want Melanie again or do we want something else? It's your job now. I love you. It's all because of her dancing. 1, 3, 2. Another from Interwest, Costa Vida. This is for Arby Lowell. Now we're going to have Dan come pick. As our director, he has to do the claws. Are we good? Are we happy with that rendition? Oh, good support. Great. Thank you, guys. One, 4, 7. 1, 4, 7. Rosemary. Yay, Rosemary. $25 gift card from ASL Communications to Walmart. Enjoy your shopping. And there are refreshments in the hall, so help yourselves. Make sure you share your comments, and we appreciate your time in coming out and being with us today. Love you.